"What the?" said Dr. Death, seeing a grim Reaper. "You can't be here." "Why?" asked the Reaper Mortimer curiously. "You know as well as I do," said the doctor. "Yes, you're right. This is ridiculous," said Mortimer. "It is insane," said Dr. Death. "Glad you agree," said Mortimer. "Why are you talking to yourself, Dad?" asked the Necromancer, seeing them as he entered the morgue. "I don't know why, boy," said Dr. Death, puzzled. "I came to talk to him," said the Reaper. "How can you be here? I am you," said Dr. Death. "Oh, I forgot to tell me, did I?" said Mortimer. "Yes," said Dr. Death. "I traveled from the future to warn me I am going to die if I don't catch the Necromancer," said Mortimer. "What?" said Dr. Death, glaring at his son. "I don't want to hurt you," said the Necromancer. "Sorry, not him, the other one," said Mortimer. "What other one?" asked Dr. Death. "The fake one," said Mortimer. "I have a copycat," said the Necromancer, feeling flattered. "He wants to kill me, you psycho," said Dr. Death. "Sorry," said the Necromancer. "I got to go," Mortimer said, and poofed into thin air. "Wonder where he has to go," said the Necromancer. "Probably judging himself," said Dr. Death. "You said it, not me," said the Necromancer, amused. Dr. Death glared at him. Sometime later. "You have a copycat," said the Necromancer. "Are you sure?" asked the coroner, Dr. Death aka Dr. Blake Alexander, to his son in the morgue. "I never met this victim in life, but I was the Reaper who collected his spirit," said the Necromancer, who did soul collection duties as a Reaper. "I saw your name on the paperwork as soul collector," said Blake, the king of the Reapers, who was the coroner. "I think we have our copycat we were warned of," said the Necromancer. "Did you see the killer?" asked Blake. "Yes," said the Necromancer. "Can you describe them?" asked Blake. "Average height, wore a black balaclava, Caucasian, black clothes," said the Necromancer sadly. "So, nothing obvious," said Blake sadly. "Nothing," said the Necromancer. "So we are basically up a creek without a paddle," said Blake. "Yes," replied the Necromancer. "Not completely," said Blake's assistant Dante. "What do we have?" asked the Necromancer. "That's a magician," said Dante. "One of us, or human," said Blake. "One of us? How could I tell a human magician from an autopsy?" said Dante. "Thought you recognized him," Blake said. "No, he's a John Doe," said Dante. "Third one this week. Someone doesn't like us." "Third?" said the Necromancer, shocked. "Thought little of it, just thought they were your victims," Dante said. "No, I haven't been killing this week, been too busy. Lando, my boss at the newspaper, has got me on entertainment reporting duty. The entertainment reporter disappeared suddenly, no one can find her," said the Necromancer. "One of your victims?" asked Blake. "No, I'm worried about her too," the Necromancer said. "Was she a magician?" asked Dante. "Yes, a Venusian princess," said the Necromancer. "Oh, I have a Venusian Jane Doe here. She was one of them, I counted. She was the first we got. She came Tuesday," Dante said. "That's when Harriet went missing," said the Necromancer sadly. "I'll tell the men in blue to keep an eye open for missing magicians," Blake said. "They wear black now, don't they?" said Dante pedantically. "Well, yes, but that's what the police are called," said Blake, in the office of the sergeant of police at the local station, days later. The black-clad sergeant sat at his desk talking to Blake and Lance, the Necromancer, who were in civilian garb. "I was wondering what happened to the Princess of Venus, the Man Martian, and the Mercurial King," the sergeant said sadly. "I was worried about the princess myself. I've been doing her job," said Lance. "I thought they were the Necromancer victim in those cases," said the sergeant. "How do we know they weren't?" "Mortimer said his son took one in as a Reaper. He saw the killer," said Blake. "Can we trust that killer's word?" asked the sergeant. "Yes," said Blake. "I was warned of a false Necromancer killer by Mortimer. He wasn't lying." "True, I was there when he warned him," said Lance truthfully. "Why doesn't he ID the Necromancer if he's that into catching killers?" asked the policeman. "Loyalty, I suppose," said Blake, who hid more than just the name of the Necromancer from the law. He hid Mortimer as the Emperor of the solar system could not be dead, and he was partly dead being a Reaper. "Oh, how sweet," said his son. "Not sweet it is being an accomplice in the Necromancer's murders," said the policeman. "I sometimes wonder why we don't arrest him sometimes, but he has cracked some unsolvable case for us." True, he has his uses, said Blake, smiling. Later in the afterlife. Blake sat, signing forms in triplicate with a quill and ink, listening to Coldplay's song 42 on repeat. That is a strange song to listen to down here, said Dante, walking in the small, dingy office. Blake laughed and said, It's relaxing. While you have the dead in your mind, I found out more about the copycat killer. You were right, he is killing just aliens, Dante said. I know how we can trap him, and why I will be killed if we can't get him, Blake said. Your dad is insane, said Lando King, Lance's boss. Why did Chris tell you the plan? Asked Lance. I weaseled it out of her. I was worried her granddad was doing something foolish when I read your article in the entertainment section of the paper at lunch with Chris today, said Lando. Chris was Lance's daughter, Lando's fiancé. It is more dangerous than you think, Lance said. I'm worried too. Are you going to be there? He needs as many friends as he can have there, said Lando, who knew Chris would be there and needed protecting from herself. She'd fight if anything happened and get herself or the baby hurt or killed in her state. She was not capable of fighting. How's Chris? Asked Lance. Worried about her granddad, said Lando. So am I to tell you the truth, Lance said. Later on, a large stage in the city. Hello, welcome to my show, said Blake, dressed in a blue tux, top hat, and mask in his hand, a magician's wand. I am Blue Midnight, the Emperor of the Solar System and magician. This is my only show. Hello, Lando, Christine. How's that bub going? Asked Christine's brother, Lance Jr., seeing them watching from the wings too. The stage manager hissed at him. Dante? Said Junior, surprised to see him stage managing. Dante glared at him. I know what you're thinking, what's with the wand, said Blake. I thought it looked very magic-y. But who needs a wand? He made it transform into a red rose, and he sniffed it. Ah, that's lovely. He then turned it into a deck of cards playfully and did a few tricks. Then the sound of a gun being fired rang through the auditorium. Blake fell on the stage, dropping the cards. Got him, shouted the Necromancer's voice. He had just caught the killer. Lando let Christine go. She was trying to run to her grandfather. She ran to him. Dante strolled over to Blake. Granddad, Christine cried. Dante sniffed and laughed. What are you laughing about, you madman? He's dead, Chris snapped. Dante smiled. No, he's just fainted, said Dante. Fainted, said Chris. The old drama queen, said Dante.